David Tribuco, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Bob.
So, your great grandmother, she was quite a businesswoman.
Yes, she was.
Can you tell me a little bit about her?
Well, during her lifetime, she came from Italy when she was 19. My great grandfather went back to in 1860. Went back to Italy and got married. Brought her out here, and from 1860 until 1912, it's 52 years. They had uh, 5 different stores, and she
Where?
was she was a good businesswoman. You know, the 5 stores, that speaks for itself. I've got a lot of paperwork from just very minimum amount of paperwork that she sent out. I have all the bills and things like that that came from her businesses. When Wells Fargo would come and pick up her money, it was insured. They would go to San Francisco to the mint. They would verify how much gold was sent, and then they would give that some of that money to A.J. Folgers, Levi Strauss, Schussman and Warner, the major companies that she dealt with, and then those companies would pay off the smaller ones. So she had a way of taking care of business uh, by other people doing it, helping her with it. She also had the story about her having $1 million bosom.
Really?
Yeah. So he goes, to begin with, she was pretty well endowed. Nice Italian lady, big breasts. The miners used to tease her all the time about getting a little too close to the scale.
Mm.
Leaning on it, tipping it a little bit.
So she
So,
was.
so he goes, it's been handed down over the years, and fellow from Wells Fargo in San Francisco, the head historian, stopped by one day. He wanted to see if the building was still here because he knew all about the Trabucco family, and he's got a lot of history with it in Wells Fargo. And I happened to see him. He was a clamper. He had a red shirt on. I saw him from. He was out by the front. I saw him, waved to him, went down, introduced myself. Well, before I introduced myself, he told me who he was. Robert Chandler. And he said that he was driving on his way to Mariposa. He wanted to come to Bear Valley and see if the old Trabucco building was still here, or like a grain of sand with time, it's gone. When I introduced myself, and he realized that he was talking to my great-grandmother's grandson, great-grandson, he got a little excited. He said, "I can't believe this." I invited him in, and it went from there. He was so tickled to get in the building, and as we entered the building, I asked him, "Have you ever heard the story about my great-grandmother having $1 million?" And he goes, "Bosom?" Well, he said tit. That's the miners used to say that, but we'll say bosom. And he knew all about it. It's just a story that's been handed down over the years. If you're in business for 52 years, 5 stores, you've got to have a personality. And you deal with people, and they're gonna say things that they're laughing about, having fun, and you deal with it. You know, the Bear Valley store here in town, it's no longer in business, but it was the same thing. Small store, family owned, and it was a focal point for everybody. I'm sure that Mrs. E. Trabucco's store holds a lot of memories. Sure, there were some bad times, but overall, I have a good feeling when I go up front. The building, it burned to the ground in 1896. It was completely rebuilt and running again in 1 year. And now the counters, they're all original. The shelves, we replaced the floor. But pretty much everything is original up front. The gas lights, the fixtures themselves are gone, but the gas pipes coming down out of the ceiling, those are there. The outhouse out back is still there. Not used, but we've always talked about someday digging it out. I've had people tell me, you'd be surprised what you can find in an old outhouse.
Mm.
Just have to dig easy so you don't break anything. And as far as anything in there, it's just all mineral compost.
Yesterday you took me down to the basement. That's carved out of solid stone.
Well, Bob wouldn't let me go into the basement. Bob went to the basement. I was up above looking down. I had to wait until he left. The basement, that's where they kept everything they wanted to keep cool. It's, well, might be 100 outside and 70 in the basement. That puts a thermometer down there, and you check it with the later season.
And that was built in 1859? That was dug out of rock.
It was like,
That was dug out of rock. Those are rock walls.
you know, I often wonder how many Chinamen died digging that. But they not only got the hole, then they took and made a wall with stacked slate. So it's just not a matter of digging it out and leaving it. The one wall, as you go down the stairs, that one wall, that hasn't been, that's all just like the original, but they dug it out.
Right.
The other walls, you can see that they're all stacked slate, plastered, and done over.
Okay. Pretty amazing. But these were miners, so they could dig like that.
You know, it gets a little bit of water in the winter. There's a drain, but it's always nice and cool. Well, now the drain is, I have a pump down there to pump any water that comes in. But it comes through the one wall and the slate.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of, if it's a heavy rainy season, you can see it like squirts out. But it's all channeled and goes down to the main drain. And that's where I have a pump.
David, I'd like to tell another story, but we need to sign off now. But we're going to come back.
We'll bring back more information for you folks.
Okay.